There's a line between torture and punishment. A line, but not a thin one. It is bold and distinct and separates such things as capital punishment and secret prisons from democracy and human rights. In 1948, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was born, and with it, the general understanding that we are all people. The women and children, the Catholics and Muslims, the young and the old, we are all people, and thus should be automatically granted these basic irrevocable rights. Some people, however, are confused. This is a fact, evident because Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. And Article 5 states that no one shall be subjected to torture or cruel, inhumane, or degrading punishment. So I know that some people are confused. Otherwise, no one would find the violation of these fundamental rights justifiable under any circumstances. For example, the United States must be confused, because obviously the arbitrary arrest of persons and the subsequent detainment and torture of these persons is in great contradiction of these rights. And these practices undeniably take place in the United States in the form of what is called extraordinary rendition. Extraordinary rendition entails the extrajudicial arrest and transfer of persons out of the United States for the purpose of interrogation and detainment. Amnesty International reports that every single victim of extraordinary rendition interviewed claims to have been subjected to torture, including Maharar, a Canadian citizen who was taken and flown to Jordan, where he was interrogated and beaten before being transferred to Syria, where he was tortured with electrical cables and held in isolation in a tiny cell before being released a year later without charge. Besides the physical anguishes that victims of extraordinary rendition must endure, they are also subjected to mental tortures. In many cases, victims are held in complete isolation for weeks on end in tiny cells, where they are unaware of whether it is night or day, where they are, or often why. The nations to which the detainees are sent are known to use torture as a form of interrogation and punishment, and these nations are specifically selected for these purposes. In fact, U.S. officials have been known to use the mere threat of being sent to these nations to intimidate individuals. However, these officials must be aware that any confessions made under duress are inadmissible in court. So what then are they attempting to accomplish? The supporting view is in general a utilitarian one, protecting the majority at the expense of a few. It is believed that the torture of suspected terrorists is imperative to preventing future terrorist attacks. But torture has proven to be an ineffective means of gathering reliable information. Victims of torture will say whatever they believe their interrogators wish to hear. In the 1600s, accused women confessed of using witchcraft after being beaten. Is this evidence that witches exist? So what then is left to justify the gross violation of human rights if it is not for the purpose of gaining useful information to stop terrorist attacks? In effect, is this torture not a form of the terrorism that it claims to fight? Torture is not justifiable. Not for gathering intelligence, not for national security, not for anything.